I started my perimenopause journey around age 44 and now I'm 55. So for the last 10 to 11 years, I have been on a journey, on a quest. I didn't know I was on a quest, but I've been on this journey quest to figure out how do I optimize my sleep? How do I go back to having quote unquote normal sleep again, even though my body really, in some ways it is normal because menopause is normal for us, but in other ways it doesn't feel normal. Does that make sense? I'm hoping, or I'm thinking you're nodding your head right now. So now at 55 years old, I cross my fingers. I feel like I have finally found what works for me best, what allows me to get good quality sleep roughly 85 to 90% of the time. There's still a small window of time when I will be restless at night, when I might wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and not be able to go back to sleep. But when I tell you that is so fewer and far between now, like hands down, I will take that small window versus the big gaping hole that I had for so many years. And so today I want to share with you my 5 steps that I do every single day that help to ensure that I get the best, most quality sleep that I possibly can, considering that I am postmenopausal. But before I tell you what they are, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for stopping in. I'm Mary. I also need to do a quick disclaimer. Everything that I'm going to share with you today is not medical advice. This is just something that I am suggesting. These are steps that I am taking that seem to work really well for me. It is super important before you change anything about your medications or you add anything or you do anything that could potentially be harmful to any medical conditions you might have or mental health conditions. It's super important that you consult your doctor and or your personal counselor first. All right, let's go ahead and dive into my very first step that I do, and that is supplements. I love my supplements. I used to take prescription sleep aids many years ago, and I personally had a very negative reaction to it. I actually had blackouts, and these blackouts were very scary to me. I didn't do anything dangerous, but it was just it was very disturbing to know that it even happened. And so I personally do not like taking any prescription sleep aids. I also don't particularly care to take things like Tylenol PM because in all sincerity, they can be habit forming. So these 4 supplements that I take are natural. They might have a little bit of additives, but for the most part, they are natural. I buy them from my health food store. If you choose to take any of these supplements, please make sure that you know where you're buying them from. Avoid buying them off of Amazon or at Walmart or Target. I strongly encourage you to either go to a local health food store or, maybe find something online. Again, check the source because sometimes we think, oh, it's a supplement, it's natural, it's not going to do anything. You still want to be smart even with the natural stuff. So the first supplement that I take is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an herb that is derivative of India, parts of Africa, and parts of the Middle East. So basically what it does is it helps to reduce cortisol. Cortisol is a natural hormone that wakes us up and gives us energy. During menopause and postmenopause, our cortisol kind of does this wave-like thing in our body. And so when it's supposed to be low, it's high. When it's supposed to be high, it's low. Ashwagandha has these properties that just helps to take the cortisol when it's here and just slowly begin to lower it down. The second supplement that I take is GABA. Now, GABA is an actual neurotransmitter in our brain, and it is one of these cool things that God gave us that naturally calms us down. Unfortunately, when we start going through the change, as our estrogen begins to drop, so does the production of our neurotransmitters, namely GABA. So a GABA supplement is a supplement that contains properties that helps to aid the natural GABA neurotransmitter that's already in our brain. The third supplement that I take is magnesium glycinate. Now, it's really important that if you're going to try magnesium, make sure you read the label because you need the glycinate. That is a combination of magnesium and the amino acid glycine. And that is the one that actually helps to calm us down. It helps to de-stress us. It helps us to regulate our anxiety just a little bit better. So magnesium glycinate. And then the last one is called L-theanine. And this is an amino acid that is found in tea leaves. I take 4 supplements because that is what helps me. Once you've consulted with your doctor, if you are on other prescription medications, to make sure that none of these supplements will counteract with your medications. Once you've done that, start with just one. I recommend beginning with magnesium glycinate. We really need magnesium, especially as women in midlife, because we tend to be on the lower end of our magnesium levels inside of our bodies. So I would start with magnesium glycinate, see how it does. Does it help you? Do you just need to take that and nothing else? And if not, then maybe consider adding GABA, right? So start with the magnesium glycinate, and then if you need to, add the GABA, and then you can kind of go down the list. You may even want to try one at a time. You may want to do magnesium glycinate for a month or 2 and see how that works. And then you can go to the ashwagandha. So as long as you are checking in with your doctor, making sure that there's not any interactions with medications and you're not having any crazy symptoms, you just kind of keep going with it. Again, this is something that I did for myself. I just started experimenting with different supplements. And so this is the little cocktail that I have discovered at night that works best for me. Step number 2, establish a routine. I understand that you might be a free spirit, a little bit of a hippie, and you might actually rebel against any kind of routine. But I'm telling you, my friend, if you are really struggling with your sleep, do yourself a favor and have this one routine, if nothing else. So my routine looks like this. I have a bedtime. I know we're not 12, but we still need a bedtime. So my bedtime falls between 9 and 10 o'clock at night. Around 9 o'clock is when I take my supplements. And then I just allow myself to kind of slowly, ease into, getting in bed. I like to read. That's another part of my routine. My husband snores, so I always make sure that I have my earplugs in. I like to sleep with a white noise machine. So basically, I go to bed around the same time, and I make sure that my noise machine is either hooked up or juiced up, and I make sure that I have the proper earplugs. And then again, like I said, I take my supplements around 9 o'clock. Now, none of this is rigid. I am not a rigid person, and I do believe we need to have some flexibility. But you still need to have this window of time where you start all of these routines, because what that does is that helps your brain to know, oh, okay, so Mary's taking her supplements right now. Okay, so this is kind of a cue that we're going to be going to sleep soon. If you are a night owl, do your best to establish this routine before midnight, ideally before 11 p.m. Again, I'm taking into consideration that everybody's a little bit different, but you're going to have to ask yourself, how desperate or urgent do I feel to get good quality sleep? My third step is making sure that my environment is conducive. So there are 3 parts to this step, and it is the temperature, the light, and my bed. You want your temperature to be as cool as possible. I know that you might be cold by nature, or maybe you live in a climate that's just really hot. Everybody's circumstance is a little bit different, but in an ideal situation, get the temperature of your room as cool as you can tolerate it. And, maybe around 70 degrees, maybe a little bit less, maybe just a little bit higher, but you want the room to be as cool as possible. Secondly is the lighting. Have your room as dark as possible. You may not have any shades or curtains or anything on your windows, and that's totally fine. If you just have natural moonlight, natural starlight, that's totally fine. I understand some people really enjoy that. But if that's not you, if you're like me and you got all the shades pulled down and the blinds and the curtains, then make sure that all the unnatural light is gone. Spoiler alert, that's going to be step number 4, but hold that thought. So you really want to make sure that your room is as dark as possible. And then the third part of step number 3 is your bed. Now, your bed does not have to be one of these stupid expensive mattresses that cost $10,000. I mean, if you have the money and that's what you want, no judgment, but you don't need that. I have a great mattress. It's something my husband and I invested in. Not super expensive. I think it was roughly around $2,000. But unfortunately, it's still a little bit too firm for me. My husband could sleep on a board. Like, ugh, we unfortunately were that, right? He loves super firm and I like super soft. So what I did is I bought a 2-inch foam and I just cut it and I fit it to my side of the bed and it works beautifully. So again, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on this crazy expensive mattress. Get a foam pad if you need it, or make it a little bit firmer if you need it. You can kind of adjust your side of the mattress, or maybe you sleep by yourself, so you can make that as comfortable as possible. You also want to make sure you have proper sheets and blankets. You know, your pajamas. You want to have the best bedding environment that you can without going crazy. If you choose to spend lots of money on sheets and blankets and mattresses, that is totally fine. But I'm here to tell you, friend, you can do all of this on a budget. You just have to get a little creative and think outside the box. Step number 4, it's screens. Yep, it's the one thing that so many people don't want to hear. I have so many friends and family and clients that love going to sleep with the TV on. They constantly have this thing in their hands. And I'm not going to tell you that you can't do that, but I am going to tell you it absolutely positively is interrupting your sleep. Here's why. Our brain is like a computer and it takes in data through our 5 senses. And so if you are constantly looking at a screen, if you go to bed looking at this, or if you have a TV in your room or an iPad or a laptop, that is blue light. So not only is the blue light not healthy for our brains, it's also making your brain keep working, because as you're watching TV, as you're looking at your laptop or your phone, you're using your sight and your hearing, and so your brain is still taking in information and it's not going to just shut down. Eventually it'll shut down because it just gets exhausted, but you are keeping it awake, you are keeping it working. And the brain needs to stop working before you fall asleep. Don't convince yourself that, oh, when I sleep, my brain is fine. Yes and no. Yes and no. Do yourself a favor, get rid of all artificial lights, stop all the screens. If you have a TV in your room, I strongly, strongly encourage you to get rid of it, get rid of the temptation. Yes, it's going to take some time for your body to acclimate to not having any screens, but I can promise you, if you are willing to be consistent with this and rinse and repeat every day, you will reach a point where you're not going to miss the TV, you're not going to miss your laptop, your phone, anything else that you typically fall to sleep with. So make sure that you cut out all artificial lights. And then lastly, this last step is actually something that I just added this year, specifically April of this year. And it's this: I wake up with the sun. I make sure that I am outside getting the first hour, hour and a half of morning sun, because that is when you have the natural infrared light that helps to get your circadian rhythm back on track. And I cannot tell you, I literally can't say enough. how much this has been a game changer for me. Because before April, I was doing, steps 1 through 4. And while they were working, they were not as optimum. And it wasn't until I added this fifth step, getting up, getting outside, getting that first morning sun. It wasn't until I added that one that things really began to kick in. And that is when I jumped up to about 85 to 90% that I talked about earlier. It's not foolproof. None of these 5 steps are foolproof, but they absolutely, positively, together can work really, really beautifully. I'm not a unicorn, so I don't think that I'm something special, and that's why these things work for me. And I strongly encourage you to try at least one of them, if not all of them. Interchange and then just kind of figure out what's really vibing with you. If you keep moving forward and just trying, at some point, you're going to find that sweet spot just like I did. Okay, so I actually have a bonus step for you. This is not something that I do on the daily. This is something that I do as needed, but this is a step that maybe needs to be a part of your daily because it works very well for you. And it's this: thought dumping. Yep, you heard right, thought dumping. So what it looks like is you grab a sheet of paper. It could be something small like this. It can be an 8.5 by 11, but you get whatever sheet of paper, whatever paper that you have, and a pen or a pencil, and you just start dumping out your thoughts. You just write it out. I hear from a lot of people how their minds don't ever shut down, and that's why they need their phones or their TVs or some other screen to help them go to sleep. But if you just stop for just a couple of minutes, and I encourage you to do pen to paper versus typing it out, okay? I just said we're going to get rid of our screens. So ideally, it's pen and paper, and you just start writing, and you literally dump it out. Get all your to-do list out. Get out what you did not accomplish that day. Just whatever is in your brain, allow it to just flow out of the pen or the pencil onto the paper, and you just keep writing and writing and writing. Don't go back and read it, okay? You don't want to put that stuff back in your head. Once your pen stops, once you're done writing, fold it up, close it up, and put it aside. Thought dumping can be an effective tool, and it might be something that you need to do every single day, or it might be something that is just as needed, kind of like for me. If any of this was beneficial for you, if you liked anything that I had to say, I would really, really appreciate it if you would do 2 things for me. If you would like this video and then subscribe to this channel, that would help me greatly. And then lastly, if you know somebody who really struggles with their sleep and could benefit from any or all of the steps, then hit the share button and send the link straight on to them. Okay, my friend, that is it for me. I will see you next week. Bye for now.